No, it's not true. That's impossible!
Galactic Doorstep is, and I cannot believe I am actually saying it, probably the most powerful origin in Stellaris right now. Yes, there is a small amount of luck involved with this, and sometimes it will be completely crap. But as long as you have RNGesus on your side, you can have the most powerful, and I say powerful, it's basically nigh unkillable by anyone else in the galaxy. Even if they have equivalent fleets, they will be ruffle stomped by you. You can get the most powerful military I think we've ever seen. More powerful even than getting a Dragon Rush. I'll also try and show you every click you need to get this build up and running. So without any further ado, let me introduce you to the Empire we will be playing with today. The Galactic Venus flytrap are going to be causing quite a lot of issues for the rest of the galaxy. Of course, we're taking the ever-brilliant Galactic Doorstop origin. This, honestly, is mainly worthless. However, we have a good chance, and I really do mean a very good chance, of turning it into something utterly, utterly broken. Galactic Doorstep gives us a dormant gateway in our home system and a reduction in gateway build cost of 25% and a 5% increase to megastructure build speed. It also comes with a host of events that we're going to be progressing through to get access to something really, really crazy. When it comes to our ethics, civics, and traits, honestly, you can pick absolutely anything you would like. I have picked some very powerful meta civics here. We're going with parliamentary system for some early factions, extra unity, and anglers because I'm going to spec from parliamentary system into catalytic processing. I won't be covering in depth the early game and mid game economy of this empire. If you'd like to see that in more detail, I will be putting a link to my Teachers of the Shroud build, which covers that in great depth. Again, it is an every click guide. In terms of ethics, I've gone for spiritualist, egalitarian, xenophobe. This just generally buffs the economy of our parliamentary system anglers and is explained in more detail in that video I just mentioned. When it comes to traits, incubators is very powerful, enduring we want the extra leader lifespan, aquatic must be taken with anglers, and then solitary is negated by aquatic, and unruly we can basically ignore. But I really do need to stress here, you could run basically any empire type you'd like. You could run militarist, authoritarian, xenophile if you really wanted to, and Byzantine bureaucracy and, oh, I don't know, distinguished admiralty. It really does not matter. The only thing that matters here is Galactic Doorstep. Everything else is entirely optional. If you'd like to follow along at home, these are the settings I'm using today. Before we dive in, I do need to say a special thank you to Leastfire for highlighting this build in the most recent Montu's multiplayer madness. He used it to perfection to win that tournament. I'll put a link to the tournament if you'd like to see it down in the description below. Right at the start, there's very little we have to do to get this build working. I'm going to do some basic economic things that I'd probably recommend you do on most playthroughs because they are generally the most effective way of playing. I'm going to switch to a civilian economy for the first 10 years. That's going to allow me to produce more consumer goods, thus boosting my researcher availability by having higher pop efficiency. I will also move to isolationist for a little bit more monthly unity too, but none of this is actually necessary. You don't have to do anything I'm doing right now to get this build working. In terms of technologies, we definitely want to chase global energy management or any energy-based increases because we do need quite a hefty sum of energy credits to do the things we need to do later on. Of course, I'm going to look for my habitable worlds and grab them. First, I'm ocean class, so I'm going to get this ocean world, and then I'll start searching using my admiral for the other possible habitable planet within 3 jumps of my capital, because that's how guaranteed habitables work. I've just deprioritized my clerks to push up a few into the Pearl Diver job. This job, of course, is only available because we are an angular civilization. My factions have formed very early on. That's thanks to parliamentary system, of course. And I'll try to make sure all of my various factions are happy so I get lots and lots of tasty additional unity. With this glut of excess consumer goods, I'm going to start selling 25 or so to boost our energy income and buy a few more minerals just so we can kind of get moving on all of these things. When it comes to your scientists, what you really want to look for is a trait that I am not seeing here. We really would like to get the trait that gives us bonus speed to archaeological dig site completion. In terms of traditions, you can actually select anything you'd like that won't have too much impact on this build, I'm going to start by opening Statecraft and grabbing Amongst Peers along with Constitutional Focus so that I can get some bonus experience for all of my council leaders when I complete my agendas. We've actually been very lucky here. We found the Grineer Precursor. That's a great precursor to have. It's going to allow us to turn lots of worlds into lovely, lovely Gaia worlds. But again, none of this is necessary to get the build functioning. We've had our first great event from the Black Crown. This is the gateway that we have deactivated in our home system. This has given us some minerals and some alloys completely free of charge. Thank you very much, Black Crown. I'm going to use those to add a couple of research labs to the capital and thus boost my lab-based production. After firing infinite opportunities, I'll next expand the council so we can get another councillor up and out here. My scientist Stalk of Ebony has just unlocked the ability to get archaeologist. That's fantastic. That is exactly the trait we need on our most powerful scientist, so I will be taking that one. Don't forget to turn on your edicts as well. Veneration of Saints is just going to give us for free some additional unity production, and encourage political thought will allow us to push our faction further into being spiritualist. I've also outlawed robotic workers just to make my factions even happier. The first of our aggressive fleets, an amoeba, has spawned from the Black Crown. It's only 65, so we don't need to worry about that. It will beeline for our starbase, and our starbase can easily defeat it. I'm going to get my second colony ship up and running now because we have found our other guaranteed world, or at least we found kind of two worlds here. We've got a size 15 and a size 25 ocean world, which is very, very useful. For my second tradition, before I finish Statecraft, I'm going to dip into the prosperity tradition just so that I can unlock the favored society agenda. We've also had a closer look fire here in about halfway through year 5. We've got a science ship ready in the capital, one that I built earlier. I'm going to employ a scientist. Let's see, we have a level 2 scientist. That's nice. I'll grab them and get them on to researching that project as soon as we can. It is imperative that you do this as soon as you get it. We need to optimize running through the event chain that Galactic Doorstop provides us with. When we complete that special project, we get planetside next. That gives us a special archaeology site. We want to start doing that archaeology site immediately, and to optimize it, I'm going to place my archaeologist on the science ship and get that going straight away. We need to complete this as soon as we can. Our other scientists can then just be left to survey. On the first of my colonies, I will specialize it in research, so I'll build research labs and city districts here. And to boost the level of this leader yet further, because the higher their level, the greater skill bonus they have at this archaeology site, and thus the faster you will complete it. Once I get to about 55-60% progress, at around 1,000 to 1,500 unity, I will trigger this agenda early, and that gives me a nice level up. I can take archaeologist level 2 and go even faster with the archaeology site. I'll grab a Minister of the Seas here for my other position. It's not entirely necessary, but we can have anything we want to. If you're running different civics, pick your own councillor, whatever you prefer. For our next trick, we will dive into favored society, as I mentioned earlier. And I'm now at around year 8. I'm going to try and focus on maintaining a high energy credit income, because we'll need to get quite a lot of energy credits, about 4,500. And not spend too many alloys. We do need to get up to around 1,800 alloys to get this show on the road. For my first ascension pick, I can pick basically anything. I'm going to grab Tech Ascendancy because it's just nice, though feel free to grab whatever you'd like. At our second colony, I am going to specialize it in industrial production. I'll start with consumer goods, and then I'll probably be switching over to alloys a little bit later. With capacity subsidies done, I will grab an energy grid as well as turning on the capacity subsidies edict. We've also finished the archaeological site. Doing this is very helpful. We now find out a little bit more about the gateway. Now, the gateway is open. We can send someone through. For this, I'd recommend you recruit a new scientist, because there's no guarantee they're going to come home, and then send both that new scientist and the science ship through your gateway. We're doing this as soon as we possibly can. We have a new election underway. I'm actually going to support our other candidate. We want someone other than our Empire leader, the Revered Elder Stalk of Magenta, to get in. That then resets our ability to reform our government, and at this point, I am going to be reforming the government. So we'll push a Rhizome of Gold through, and they can become our new democratically elected leader. There's only a tiny amount of lobbying going on. With our new ruler elected, we can reform the government. I'm going to throw away parliamentary system, and at this point, dive straight into catalytic processing. This has the added bonus of completely resetting our council. So I'm going to bring back the head of research, the Minister of Defense. I won't be bringing back the Minister of State. Instead, I'll grab a Minister of the Seas and a Principal Catalyst. We can also at this point switch over to a militarized economy, and I will do that. Doing so means we'll be getting less consumer goods, so I'll just simply stop selling as many, but we will get quite a few more alloys produced. Now that our scientist has disappeared through the Black Crown, we wait. While we wait, it's worthwhile designing a new defense platform. I'm going to build a defense platform absolutely brimming with nuclear missiles. You could also, if you've got it, put down a scout wing or some sort of hangar defense platform, whatever you'd really prefer. It doesn't matter, but we would like a small military boost here in the capital. And I'm also going to build, one of those defense platforms, as well as replacing the trade hub with a gun battery. I'll leave our primary fleet of 3 corvettes here, but I will unemploy the leader. We do not want our admiral to accidentally die if there are any incursions from the Black Gateway, and let me tell you, there's going to be some incursions. I can now trigger Favored Society earlier. I'll then switch over to Evolving Society to just give us some extra unity. We've now had Return to Sender trigger. This grants us the Gateway Activation Technology, meaning we can now activate this gateway. To do so, though, we do still need more energy and more alloys. As this is our absolute highest priority, I'm going to start selling basically more consumer goods every month than we're producing, and I'm going to sell some minerals as well, because we want to get this gateway online as fast as we possibly can. It looks like now it's going to be around 10 months away until we can trigger it. Now that we have enough alloys, because we get a 25% reduction for this activation cost, we don't need 25,000, we only need 1,875. I will start selling all of my alloy production every month just for more energy credits. Now we have the required 4,500 energy and 1,875 alloys, we will trigger the upgrade. This is going to take just around 2 years, and then we're going to be in with some fantastic luck, I hope. Now that we've triggered this and spent all of our money, we can stop selling all of our alloys, sell fewer consumer goods, stop selling all of our minerals, and just rebalance the economy. As predicted, we've had some enemies come through the gateway. This is fine. This is the reason we switched over our capital a little bit by adding the gun battery and a single defense platform of whatever's design you'd like. You'll see we've got around 10 ships here to deal with, about 700 worth of fleet power. We'll retreat with our main fleet because we don't want them to die. We're fine with that, and now the starbase will simply defend against these interlopers, and we will eliminate them. Of course, they'll make some debris as well. This debris has regenerative hull tissues. You might as well research it. For my third tradition, I could take basically anything I would like. I think I'm going to grab Supremacy because we'll probably end up on the war footing sooner rather than later. It's not necessary to grab this, though. You could honestly take, as I said, anything you would like. I'll also now start spending alloys on getting more star bases and throwing down the hydroponics base to boost our food production. It's also worthwhile grabbing another science ship because of course we're only down to 1 because that other science ship never came back through the wormhole. It's year 15, our gateway has reactivated, and now we hold our breath and we pray. And our prayers have been answered. A hulking ship has emerged through the gate. We need to now do 2 things. First off, recruit 1 assault army, that's necessary, and make sure that we have our construction ship back at the capital. If you want to be even more efficient, you could be completely ready here with the assault army and the construction ship as soon as the Talon-class ship emerges from the gate. Now, the next stage has begun. We can investigate this hulking ship, which I will do immediately. We have our army here. We'll prepare a troop transport and board it. That'll only take 30 days. After that, we do need the construction ship ready, so we'll bring that construction ship up to the front. It's also worthwhile sending something through the gateway, a science ship with a low-class leader, to work out what is on the other side. Once our boarding party is aboard, we need to help them repair the ship. Do not seize it, repair it, and we'll do that by simply doing the research project with our construction ship. This project is going to take us around 5 years, so this is all part of the process. We're very soon going to be nigh unstoppable, though. Unfortunately, the other side of this gateway seems to be occupied by some aliens. Let's try and make contact with them. You'll also notice we can now research gateway construction. Depending on where you are in the game, this is going to take you quite some time, so I probably wouldn't recommend you do that right now. Not until you've got a research income in physics above around 150 or 200. That would cut this down to about 30 months, which is acceptable. Also, do note your empire size. Keeping our empire size below 100 will reduce the impact of increased cost, which really is expensive with this gateway construction. So don't leave it too long, but also don't start it too soon. I'm getting close to 100 empire size, so I am at this point going to start researching gateway construction. I want to complete that. Now that our construction ship has completed their quest, we learn the sad fate of the Admiral, and any minute we will get to bring Scrand Sharpbeak on board. He has a hefty Unity upkeep, but Shield of the Empire is amazing, Carrier Focus is good, Engineering is good. We will hire this leader. They come in at level 8 already, which is a massive bonus to any ships in their fleet. We can also upgrade them. I'm going to take Wrecker, that's a good one. I'm going to go with Observer actually, rather than Wrecker 2, because I would like to get some debris from any enemies that we defeat. We now have what looks to be just one Titan-class ship. Normally, this wouldn't be so great. A Titan is not particularly effective at dealing with corvettes, and at this early stage of the game, corvettes are what we have in the majority. But the Lost Talon is no regular ship. The Lost Talon comes equipped with not one, not two, but 6 hangar bays filled with Skraverd Strikecraft. These are the best Strikecraft in the game. They are level 4. They will deal massive damage to any corvettes. We also have neutron launchers. These are great against star bases. We have large slot Gorse cannons, some auto cannons, some fantastic point defense and flak to deal with any missiles or any fighter craft we may come up against. The best, basically, deflectors in the game other than psi shielding. Lots and lots of armor. We've got 24,000 armor points, lots of hull, lots of shield, quite a bit of speed. 227 is very quick. Extra shield from the shield capacitors, and last but not least, we also have a jump drive. This ship is a monster, and what we need now is a target. Luckily, we've just met a target. Our neighbors here, the Velet Necromages. I'm sure they should probably be paying us some tax for the privilege of living. So we're going to declare war, and honestly, this is going to be probably the fastest campaign you'll ever witness. We're just going to dive straight in and kill everything. And I really cannot stress this enough. I do mean everything. They have absolutely no hope of presenting a threat worthy of defeating us. Even if you came up against an enemy with an equivalent 20,000 or 15,000 worth of fleet power, they could not defeat this ship. It is far too powerful. When we get into attack range, we'll simply run away from the enemy, and generally we'll be much faster than them anyway. As you can see, we basically had no issue completely defeating that enemy. And now we're going to go and occupy their systems and force them to surrender very soon. Now there is a chance that Scrand Sharpbeak does not enter the fray. That chance, however, is very low. We're talking around a 10% chance of you not getting Scrand when you open up your gateway. It's also important to note, because this is a legendary paragon, there can only be one Scrand per galaxy. So whoever gets Scrand first is the only empire that will be able to have Scrand. Now you may be wondering how it is that we can get Scrand Sharpbeak. Well, by activating a gateway, we have a chance of Scrand arriving. But that chance is heavily modified by 2 things. First off, having the gateway activation technology brings it up from a 20% chance to about a 50% chance. That's very good. But the biggest bonus by far is Galactic Doorstop Origin. This origin increases the chance to about 90% that Scrand will appear from the gateway when we reactivate it. In some runs, this may not happen. If it doesn't happen and you're playing single player, you're probably only 15 years into the game, you might as well restart. And if you're enjoying this video, please use that like button as a doorstop. We've also found Tian Ort. With Scrand, you have the perfect whale hunter on your hands. Go out and kill whales. Now, the reason we're doing this is not just simply the pleasure of hunting. When we kill these fleets of space whales, we'll also get some juicy energy credits for doing so. Whaling is a reasonable thing to do. Yes, by hunting out Tian Ort here, we've managed to get thousands of energy credits and hundreds of exotic gases. That is a massive economic boost for our entire empire. I'm going to use those energy credits to buy up lots of minerals, and then I'll use those minerals to recruit quite a few extra armies so that we can progress this invasion just a little bit quicker. I'm also going to research the debris. It's probable that the aliens you come up against may have better technology than you. I've laid a claim on Zubin, that is the other end of our gateway, and I'm now going to grab another vassal. Of course, tributary, because that will help us economically. With the war declared, let's go in and we will purge Tianavek, thus giving us even more energy credits and even more exotic gases. We've grabbed 2 vassals now, the Lavan Company and the Velet Necromages. I'm going to set my sights a little bit further east now on this disgusting hegemonic-driven assimilator. I've never seen something like this before. It's a machine federation of a hegemony with, and I'm scared to admit this, but with a driven assimilator at its core. I don't really know how I feel about all of that. I've run this through a couple of times, and so far I have not been disappointed at all. Of course, this advantage is only temporary. The rest of the galaxy will get research and alloys and eventually build up fleets. And that's why I've been slowly building up a stockpile of alloys and still boosting our research so that eventually I can start putting out some other fleets to complement this one. But the advantage of having basically all of our nearest neighbors tributized immediately at the start of the game is just honestly amazing. This is, I would say, currently the most powerful rush build that we have in Stellaris. You might also be wondering, how do you deal with disloyal vassals? Our vassals are, due to the divided patronage modifier, going to probably be relatively disloyal, and as we take more and more vassals, we're going to get that modifier increase more and more. There's a handy way to completely get around that, though, in the current version of Stellaris. After 5 years, I can renegotiate terms. I am going to renegotiate terms which include these empires being forced into all offensive wars that we might launch. This is almost certainly going to be allowed because we have such a large power compared to them. We can basically do whatever we would like to these poor creatures. Now that we've renegotiated terms, I'm going to begin my conquest again. We're now going to attack the Tronsaru Directive next to us and make them into our latest tributary. This war, though, of course, adds my vassals in. When your vassals join you in a war, during that war, they cannot rebel against you. I'm here looking at the point of view of the Velet Necromages, and as you can see, we are completely unable to declare war against the Galactic Venus Flytrap, our righteous overlord. Even when masses of corvettes arrayed against us, we're currently fighting a tripartite federation here. There's just nothing they can do. They're going to run away from you because your power is simply overwhelming. It's probably even worth taking Nihilistic Acquisition as our second perk here. That way we can go and steal some pops with the secondary fleet that I'm probably going to build now. I'll build a whole bunch of destroyers. After the completion of the war, and you've grabbed a new subject, you'll notice that you then get a 10-year truce with all of those vassals that just joined in your offensive wars. Why is this 10-year truce useful? Well, we can now declare a new war within 10 years' time, another subjugation war, let's say, because we've had another great idea. This then means when we declare the new war, all of our vassals, yep, you've guessed it, they're brought back into the war so they can't declare independence. And then when the war finishes, they'll get truces with us so they, yes, yet again, cannot declare independence. I'm also going to make sure to grab a system in the middle of the enemy space, somewhere probably with a planet and maybe relatively close to their capital. That's going to allow us to put down a gateway network inside space we have control of across the galaxy. Every time I get a new vassal, I'll wait the requisite 5 years and then renegotiate terms once more to bring them into all future wars. And we can keep going on this rampage until the entire galaxy is ours to command. The Galactic Doorstop origin is terrifyingly, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, utterly broken. If you've enjoyed this video, but you'd like a little bit more detail on the early game, something I didn't really focus on here, you probably want to watch my guide on the new psionic meta. If you'd like to see how I do every click the video on screen now.